So what we know about all of these altered state experiences, all of these north of happy experiences, is they do the same thing. Selflessness, timelessness, effortlessness, and richness. In other words, prefrontal cortex goes away, so our sense of self disappears. Prefrontal cortex goes away, so time disappears. Effortlessness is a reference to that huge spike in feel-good neurochemistry. And when that's coursing through your system, you often feel like you're being propelled through your life by forces that are greater than you, right? Simultaneously, we see richness, which is short for information richness, which is why all of the brain's information processing machinery starts getting amplified in these experiences. So all of these experiences feel very, very similar. Interesting thing is they're also having similar impacts. And we see this on both sides of the spectrum. So we're going to look at the healing side first before we look at the high performance side. On the healing side, I love the PTSD research for this because it's very, very interesting. So back in the late 90s, the early 2000s, a guy named Rick Doblin, who is the head of the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Research, and a psychologist named Michael Mitherhofer, who's down in South Carolina in the States, wanted to know if they could use MDMA, so the same psychoactive that's inside of ecstasy or Molly, to treat PTSD. And after an incredibly brave and hard fight, they finally got to test this research, and you've probably heard about it at this point. And what they discovered is combining MDMA with talk therapy into what's known as psychedelic therapy. So you're not just taking a drug, you're taking a drug with a lot of attention being placed on set and setting. You have a therapist with you. They found that 1 to 2 sessions of MDMA therapy was enough to completely cure or significantly reduce, so people could get way off their meds, symptoms of PTSD. That was amazing. It was breakthrough research. It's fantastic. And in fact, it's still ongoing. MDMA has proved so successful with this extreme anxiety disorder that we're now seeing tests of it for normal anxiety disorders and depression. And those are moving forward. In fact, the FDA in the United States is so excited by this research into MDMA that they have fast-tracked drug development, which has never actually happened before, and they're doing it with what is still a Schedule I drug, meaning it's totally illegal, and it supposedly has no medicinal benefit. America, strange place. But this research was only the beginning, because the next thing that happened is the Army came along and they said, well, this is great, this is fantastic, but there are a lot of people who don't want to have to take a mind-altering substance to get this kind of result, so what can we do? So at Camp Pendleton, they reran the exact same experiment. They've now done it with over 1,000 soldiers with PTSD, and they replaced MDMA with surfing and the flow states produced by surfing. They also use talk therapy, so it's the exact same protocol with surfing instead of the psychedelic substance. What they found was that 5 weeks of talk therapy and surfing therapy for flow was enough to completely cure or significantly reduce symptoms of PTSD in soldiers. They reran the same experiment with mantra meditation, actually. I think they used TM. And they found that 4 weeks of TM in conjunction with talk therapy was enough to significantly reduce or completely cure PTSD. What we're seeing here, 3 different treatments. These are, I mean, think about this for a second. You've got people taking MDMA, so we're thinking ravers, surfers, and meditators. They're not 3 groups of people you normally think of overlapping, and yet, under the hood, neurobiologically, all these things are doing the same thing, because what's going on in your brain is very, very similar.